Hey, Zach. Jason Huber with WFNZ. So, I mean, obviously losing KK Short's a big loss for your defense. Just with that, what's kind of the thoughts there, and how important is it for not just you, but the entire defensive line to step up in his absence the rest of the way?
Well, man, with professional football, the only thing that is 100% guaranteed is injuries, and whether that's season-ending, week, day to day, you're going to get banged up and you're going to get hurt. You just hope that it's a speedy recovery and you get back. So it's really unfortunate that we lose a guy of KK's caliber this early in the season. It's really unfortunate for him, just because of the person he is. You know what I'm saying? And my heart goes out to him and his family because this is tough. Anytime 2 years in a row you have a situation like this, it's tough. So, I just, I'm just thinking about KK and hope KK and his family are doing well. And, the guys that still in the building and at practice, we come to practice and we prepare for these moments. So, it's always next man up in the bigs. And that's kind of the approach and the philosophy that we're taking with that.
All right, let's go to Jonathan Alexander and then Miles Simmons.
Hey, Zach. Hope you're doing well.
What's going on, Miles?
Nothing much. Well, I was going to ask you your reaction to hearing about KK's injury and the fact that he was out, for the rest of the year. But you kind of answered that.
Yeah, I mean, my reaction was just it's really, really unfortunate. I mean, it sucks. It sucks when you're given a God-given ability and an injury kind of sits you down and is a minor setback. And you're not allowed to really use those abilities that are given to you. So it sucks. I never had a season in an injury, but so I can't act like I know what KK is going through. But it's really, really unfortunate, and our room took a huge blow.
And if I could ask one more thing, different from that, I guess was it nerve-wracking when you all had to go in intensive protocol after learning about the Davidson's COVID diagnosis?
No, not really. I mean, it's the great thing about football, man, and being in the NFL is when you come to work, you can block everything out. So to us, it seemed, it was kind of normal. I mean, and, we've been wearing masks. We've been doing all the things that, the preventative things to help, make sure that we don't have any situations like some of the other teams around the NFL. So we've been doing all the right things this whole time. So it wasn't anything different and nerve-wracking for us. It's just coming to work and doing your job.
Hey, Zach, I know you don't like to see anybody going down, obviously, but do you feel good about the opportunity that you have in front of you to step up as a starter?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not just for me, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited about everybody because it's going to be by committee. You know what I'm saying? You don't really replace a guy like KK. You know what I'm saying? You don't just plug and play with a guy that's been as good as he's been over his NFL career. So it's going to be by committee. And I think it's going to be cool to see some of the guys that haven't got the opportunities that, that they should have or that they could get, based off the guys that are in front of them. So I'm excited for everybody in the room, not just myself, man.
All right, let's go to Jason Brown and then Skylar Callahan.
Thanks, Preston. Zach, always a pleasure to talk with you. Let me ask you about Nick Foles. Here's a guy, obviously, who's won a Super Bowl as a veteran defensive, as the veteran defensive guy, and then as a defense as a whole. Do you like facing a quarterback that what you're gonna see from him, or is he a type of a dangerous sort of a veteran quarterback?
Yeah, he's dangerous. Yeah, he's dangerous, man. I mean, he's won a lot of games. He's won a lot of big games. And the thing about Nick is he's a lot bigger than what a lot of people think he is. So, you watch him on film and, you see guys going up to sack him and they kind of just like fall off. You know what I'm saying? So anytime you got a guy like him that knows where pressures are coming from and, he's really good under pressure if you watch him on film, it's always a challenge. And, I don't expect it to be any different come Sunday when they come into town. And I think we're preparing and we're ready for that.
Thanks.
Hey, Zach, Skylar Callahan with Sports Illustrated. Coach Rhule talked earlier this week about how the run defense is probably a bit of guys not filling their gaps up front and making things a little misconceiving for the linebackers. Is that something that you've seen improve throughout this week, or is it still maybe a little bit of a work in progress?
It's always a work in progress. It has improved, and it's really just focus, man. It's not like we're just intentionally getting out of our gaps. We just got to focus more. We got to focus more. And I think I said it a couple of days ago, just key the guy that's in front of you. And, that should help you or set you up to be successful on that down. And we're just talking about it more in the defensive line room, and we're really trying to focus in and lock in on that to help clear things up for our linebackers so they can be more successful and make more plays.
All right, let's go to David Newton and then Jason Huber.
Hey, Zach, good to see you today. Wanted to ask you, playing next to Derek Brown, what have you learned from him that has stood out for you this early in his career, the impact he can make?
That he has a lot of ability that a lot of people don't have. That, I wasn't given, KK wasn't given, Brave, it's a lot of, he can do some really, really good things, man. He's a strong and he's a big man and he's a lot quicker than what people think he is. So it's more so just me just being awed at some of the things he can do than me learning, because it's like, it's like almost when you watch really good football players on film and, coaches put on teach tape and it's like, okay, yeah, that looks good, but like that guy can do that. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just cool to watch him and watch him grow and watch him learn the game of football.
And how far ahead is he, or is he far ahead of what most rookie defensive linemen are at this point?
I mean, I think he is. I mean, if you think about what he's done with no preseason games and his first action being against guys like, his first NFL game was against Rodney Hudson. And you know what I'm saying? That should speak for itself. You know what I'm saying? Then just last week with Alex Mack, I mean, he's playing guys. He's playing some dudes out there. So for him to get his first NFL action against guys like that, I mean, it's special and it's only going to help him in the long run.
Jason, you can ask your question. Just a heads up, guys. We got to let Zach go after this one. Go ahead, Jason.
Zach, when you signed with Carolina first, what did you see that made you, hey, could be a good opportunity? And looking at this team, what surprised you the most about how you all have performed the last 5 weeks versus maybe looking on the outside, looking in when you first saw the chance to come here?
No real surprises. Just to answer that part of it. But as far as like what got me to come here was, the executives and the guys that make the decisions and build teams, they reached out to, the people that represent me, and they seemed to my representative that they really wanted me to come here. And then I hadn't made a decision, right off the offer, but I had seen, Coach Rhule's opening presser, like him accepting the job. And I was like, damn, I kind of like to play for this dude right here, man. Like, from what he said, it seemed like he knew what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? So I was excited about that. And you could tell that this guy was a football guy and he was intense about it. And I was like, honestly, I was like, shit, that's something I could be a part of. I don't mind coming to work. I don't mind working hard. I don't mind anything being intense. And I love football too. And that's just the environment and the energy I wanted to be around. And that's what we're building here. And I think they did a really good job of getting the right group of guys together that feel the same way. And that's what kind of attracted me to this area. I was looking at, a lot of the off-season signings, free agent signings, and I'm like, these guys you can tell they're getting guys that love football. I'm a fan of football, so all the guys they had signed, I had watched, before. So once I seen those guys, I'm like, okay, this could be really, really special. So I was excited about everything, man. There wasn't anything in particular that really got me going. I was just excited about the opportunity as a whole.
Zach, we appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, Derek, good to see you. Just kind of wondered what your reaction was when you heard about, your good buddy and your former teammate Marlon with the COVID, and have you reached out to him, and, had you spent any time with him after the game that had you nervous at all afterward?
No, not nervous. Spoke, said hello. When I found out, I immediately checked on Marlon, called Dr. Gritter, and tried to, figure everything out. But I mean, from my aspect, I didn't do anything to put myself in harm's way. So, yeah, as far as that goes, I'm good.
Hey, Derek, what was your reaction to hearing about KK Short's injury, and how do you feel like you guys have to now step up in his absence?
Man, you lose a Pro Bowl defense tackle like KK. Guy who put a lot of time and effort in this league. Has got, got the rankings. The OG of the room. It's a tough blow, but I mean, we got to go out there and play for him. We got to go out there, do as if he was out there with us.
All right, let's go to Jason Huber and then Sharon Thorslin.
Hey, Derek. One of the things that Zach Kerr just mentioned to us was it's hard to replace a guy like KK with just one player. And while Matt Rhule mentioned that Zach Kerr may be the guy lining up in the starting lineup beside you, how kind of going off that point, how important is it to get you all involved now? And how much does that kind of, I mean, you played 2 games without him already this year. Does that kind of, force you to step up even more now in your rookie season?
Yeah, I mean, just like Zach said, it's going to take more than one person to replace KK. I mean, he's a Pro Bowler. He's done what we all aspire to do. Guys like that, come every once in a dozen. So, just we got to go out there and be able to play to that same standard. The standard's been set. The standards understood. So, I mean, that's just what we got to go out and do.
Hey, Derek, Sharon Thorslin here. When you look at this Bears offense with Foles running the show now, and they've got Patterson, they've converted him to a running back. What do you see out of them offensively? What kind of challenge do they pose?
I mean, they're a very talented team. Just watching the tape this week. They're pretty good up front. They got the skill pieces to the puzzle, and a Foles back there, quarterback. I mean, they got a complete offense, is what I feel like. So I mean, you're not going to just go out there and just walk all over them. You got to be able to go out there and give them your best effort. I mean, it's not going to just be a walk on the field and play okay and get out there with a win. I mean, they're coming in here for our best effort, and we're going to give them our best, and we'll see how the game plays out.
Go to Skylar Callahan and then David Newton.
Hey, Derek, Skylar with Sports Illustrated. I asked Coach Snow earlier about the team meeting that you guys had following the loss to Tampa Bay and trying to get to know each other a little bit better. Is that something that you think has been a part of this turnaround? I know it's probably not the one single point, but how have you seen this team, especially defensively, grow together?
Man, it's been something, to watch. We weren't together for long. Everybody kind of knew each other because we were behind the iPads. So, this year has been crazy. So we never really got a chance to get in here in the spring or early summer with one another. Even my time coming in, I only got to really meet, a handful of guys at one time. And, it was just, we had to figure out us. We had to figure out to trust, the D-line and the linebackers got to trust one another. The back ends got to be able to trust us to be able to do our part. And I mean, once we figure that out, now it seems like we're starting to play for one another more.
Hey, Derek, David Newton, ESPN.com. What have you noticed about the double teams you get when KK's in there, when he's not in there, and how that's going to impact you moving forward?
I think me and KK both get a lot of double teams. So I don't think it'll change. Just like Zach said, you can't replace them, but we got to go out there and play. So it's one of those things where we got to be able to fill in.
Let's go to Miles Simmons.
Derek, when you look at the Bears, they've done a really good job of just scoring in the fourth quarter and continuing to get down the field in the fourth quarter. How much of an emphasis is that for you guys this week in terms of just finishing and making sure you're finishing things out there?
I think that's emphasis for us all year, finishing the fourth quarter. I mean, no matter how many points you score in the first 3, it doesn't matter if you let a team keep scoring in the fourth quarter, because they're going to come back and beat you because all the momentum swinging that way. So, I mean, that's just how we look at it.
All right. Derek, we appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate it, Preston.
All right, we'll see you.
Hey, Chris, when you look at this Bears defense, just what sticks out about it that makes it so tough on third down in the red zone?
They're a physical front. They play well together. So it's just going to have to be basically it comes down to us and how we handle ourselves on those situations and how we execute on those situations.
All right, let's go to Jonathan Alexander next.
Hey, Chris, hope you're doing well.
Doing good.
Good. You were one of the guys who went up against Davidson, and I was just wondering what your initial reaction was when you learned he had tested positive.
Obviously, you don't want a situation happening like with Tennessee and the Vikings and that kind of shutting down the facilities and stuff like that. I know, but initially, I had already contracted it and moved on, so I wasn't as worried about me. Obviously there's this small chance, of course, and so I was a little worried, but I've been good, and hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully it doesn't spread or anything like that.
If I could ask real quick, does it? I guess when you think about it, when you know things are out of your control, then it wasn't your fault. Does that make you feel some type of way?
Like in the case of like him, like just kind of
and not necessarily just him, but just the possibility that anybody who I guess you can do everything right. You can wear masks, you can not go out, you can do some stuff, and all of a sudden you got it, and it's just the way it is. So it's kind of you get mad at the situation and frustrated because it's like you feel like it's not your fault that you did anything, but you also it's your responsibility to not spread it. Don't be if you feel sick, say something. If you just be on top of it for everybody else as well.
All right, we'll go to Jason Huber next, and then David Newton.
Hey, Chris, Jason Huber with WFNZ. Kind of a two-part question. First, with you, you're kind of entrenched right now in that starting left guard role. How would you kind of assess your play, so far this year, and trying to hold that spot down? And then I'll go with the second one after.
All right. I think I've been good. We've been playing well together as an offensive line. Communication's been good. There's always something to work on, and it can change from game to game and stuff. So, we come in every week and we just try to get better at those things that maybe we messed up in the game or need to work on and consistently get better at. And overall, we're just going to try to keep progressing as we go forward.
Yeah, and the second part was kind of related to that. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks now since you guys have allowed a sack. What are some of the things that have finally been having? Last week was the first week that you had all five of the projected starters kind of at the beginning of the year playing together. What's been working for you all, and how much easier also has Teddy Bridgewater made it for you guys?
Teddy's been doing great. He gets the ball out on time. He helps us. Our communication with him on the line is great. And I think, we're comfortable with each other. So it's a good synergy of, I know how Matt's going to set, I know how this is going to work, so we work together very well. And I think that's kind of overall contributed, but it's also wide receivers and running backs, getting out on checkdowns or maybe getting open on routes, so Teddy can throw those passes. So overall, we've worked well as a unit together.
Hey, Chris, David Newton, good to see you again.
David.
Wanted to ask you, and we all know offensive linemen are the most cerebral guys on the team. So, but from Teddy's standpoint, how cerebral is he as a quarterback in terms of what he does back there?
And cerebral, you mean like just talking and being smart about things?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's very good. He's one of the hardest workers, I've seen in a long time. He stays late. He does his work. He puts in the time. He goes over things with us, and he's always super positive. I think that's one of his biggest things is no matter what, if something goes wrong, positive. Let's have fun. Let's move forward. Let's fix it. And he does a good job of kind of leading the unit and the team in that aspect. And, it carries over to his play, so he's very calm, collected back there, no panic. And he just plays the game and he loves it. So, it really helps us because, we feel that, and we also try to emulate that as well.
All right, guys, we have time for one more. Josh, do you have a question?
Yeah, Chris, I was just curious, as an offensive lineman, do you feel a difference when there's a different running back there in terms of blocking, like or a different style of running back at least? Well, obviously Mike is such a downhill guy versus Christian. Is that's something that you adjust for, or is it just kind of like whoever's back there, you're going to do the same, kind of do the same?
It honestly, to us, it doesn't matter. You know, one of the best things about, you know, our offense is we each focus on our job, and we focus on our job and do our job. You know, it shouldn't matter who's in and who's out, as long as people do their job and do it well. So that's kind of our mindset as an offensive line, is whoever's back there, whoever's doing, you know, whoever's catching, whoever's running the ball, it doesn't matter as long as we're doing our job. Then I hope we have success.
I actually have one more, if you wouldn't mind. Not to take too much of your time, but I know that you and Mike kind of came in at the end of last season. And then with all the turnover, was there any moment during the offseason where you thought to yourself, like, hey, you know, with all this turnover, I might kind of get, I don't know, want to say like left behind or washed out. And then obviously for you guys to now be starters and having such a big role, just how does that feel after the offseason and all this change?
It feels great, you know, and you know, I've always kind of struggled with that mentally. Like, you know, it's out of your control. And the biggest part, some of that off-season stuff, when you're not in the building, you can't come in the building with the COVID. And so some of that stuff's out of your control. So yeah, you have that in the back of your mind sometimes, but you just can't let it affect you. You just kind of got to control what you can control. And so I think that being in the off-season mindset and then coming in here and finding ourselves in these roles, you know, I know Mike's excited to show what he can do, and I'm excited to be a part of this great offense and great team that we have. So, yeah, no, I love it here, and I am really glad that they decided to keep me around.
All right, Chris, we appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Go for it, Mike.
Thanks, Preston. Hey, Coach. For guys like Larson, Larson out with an illness, is that a COVID situation? Being an offensive lineman that may have faced against the Falcon player that tested positive.
I can't comment on anything about his illness. Obviously we put someone on COVID reserve if that time comes, but for anybody. So, with his specific illness, I can't really get into detail. I hope you can understand that.
I do. Are you concerned at all with your offensive lineman this week coming into this game after perhaps coming into contact with the player from Atlanta?
Well, I'm always concerned with everybody, that situation, I'm concerned for everybody. We're trying to take all of our precautions on our end, I'm just kind of taking it day by day and just seeing our tests as they get back and just making sure we're smart here on our end.
All right, let's go to David Newton and then Jonathan Alexander.
Hey, Matt, wanted to ask, we saw that Bryans was limited. He actually had a helmet on out there today. Is he trending towards possibly able to play this week? I know the concussion protocol is kind of an iffy thing, but that seemed to be a positive sign this early in the week.
Yeah, he practiced today, in that fashion, non-contact. So there's a specific step for each step of the protocol that the doctors do, and so he was allowed to do some things today, and look good. I'd certainly love to have him.
Hey Matt, I'm wondering if you are without Brian, how do you make up? What do you lose, and how do you make up for that loss?
Well, Brian's a great player. Tremendous pass rusher. He's getting better and better. He's really good when we go to our 3-down stuff, dropping. That being said, we played pretty much the whole game without him last week. I thought Marquise played really well. I thought Weatherly played really well. FA gives us a lot of flexibility. So, it's like all of our players, they all bring something special to the table. We want all of them to be out there, but this is a league that's built on, playing with who's healthy and available. But that being said, I was, pleased to see him out there today.
Let's go to Jason Huber.
Hey, Matt, I know yesterday you mentioned how kind of the guys filling in for KK would be, with Zach Kerr and then possibly bringing Woozer Hamilton up and then using flexibility with FA. Would those be kind of the main guys that you would use there at defensive tackle and Bravion Roy? Is there anyone else any defensive ends or anything that you would kind of try to mix and match a bit there?
No, I think the guys you mentioned, right? We have obviously Derek and Bravion, and Zach, and then FA's been playing some 3 for us in nickel and sub situations, and the ability to, Woodrow came up, played 12 snaps in the Tampa game and played really well. Bruce Hector also, we have those guys. We had those guys here, and we kind of stockpiled defensive linemen for this reason, just knowing that those guys are good players and really important. So, I think it'll be a combination, somewhere of the guys that we have.
And Zach mentioned that with a guy like KK, you can't really replace him with just one guy. It's got to be a committee. What would that do? It seems like you do agree with that, but what are you looking the most for these guys to kind of fill in and replace KK? Like, is that even possible, kind of? Yeah,
I'm not looking to replace KK. I'm just looking for someone to go in and play to our standard, and I say that because, KK is a great player, a great person, a great teammate. I just want guys to go in and be themselves. And one thing you'll hear from me all the time is I trust our players. I believe in our players. I believe my job as a coach is to put our players in the best position to win. And so, we played, I think it was 2 games without KK already this year. We went out to LA without him and were able to win the game. So I don't say that about him. I say that about our guys. I trust our guys. I have a lot of confidence in our guys. So, we'll put those guys out there. And anytime you lose a great player, like losing McCaffrey on the offensive side, or Russell when we lost Russell, or losing KK earlier and then losing him now, it's not just about the guy that goes in for him. It's about everybody. Everybody has to raise their level of play. And, that's what I expect that we'll do.
Let's go to Elena Getzenberg and then Joe Person.
Matt, I was wondering if you any update on Yetur today.
Just that, yeah, he did not practice today.
And then I was curious, now that Eli's getting healthy again, is that obviously good to see, but do you imagine him having a role Sunday?
Who is that you said? I'm so sorry. I was making sure I said that. Who's that, Lillian? I'm sorry.
Eli Apple.
Eli Apple. He practiced today. I had a family matter to attend to right after practice, so he was out there. I have not watched the tape, and I haven't talked to the defensive staff, right? So it's hard for me to say too much. Really, we're talking about corner depth. Rasul, Troy, Dante. Those guys are cemented as our starters. Corn's our starting nickel. So really, we're Eli for us is some depth along with Stanley down the line. So hopefully, Eli at some point will be able to help us. Maybe it's this week. But our starters, we have our starters and we feel good about them. And, we're just trying to make sure we bring Eli along safely and healthily.
If I could just follow up with one thing, is Dante's toe injury, based on what, is that just something he's going to have to deal with for a bit, kind of just play through?
Yeah, I think so.
Matt, wondered if KK had his surgery scheduled yet. And then secondly, when do you need to make it? Do you need to make a decision on Kirkwood this week, or do you have until next Wednesday?
So KK first. KK has a surgery scheduled for sometime next week. So he'll have surgery, I believe, next week. And I only say so, I believe, because of all the, there's obviously different restrictions this year with COVID and testing and all those things, but I believe it'll be next week. And I'm not sure the deadline for Kirkwood. I would anticipate us elevating him. In my mind, he's going to get elevated this week, so it hasn't happened yet. So just full transparency, he's going to be elevated now. So he looks like he's going to be healthy. He's getting healthy. He's getting in shape. So I'm hopeful that it's this week. I believe that it will be this week.
Let's go to Phil Orban and then David Newton.
Hey, man, I have kind of a bigger picture coaching philosophy question. I'm curious. I've talked to a couple college coaches that coach different after a win and after a loss. They're a little bit tougher on the guys after a win, a little bit softer after a loss. Maybe after a win, but they didn't do one piece right. They're banging on them about that. I'm curious if that was something you believed in college and what the difference is now coaching professional.
I don't think there's any difference between coaching professionals and college players because they're all just people. So it's about maturity. It's about mindset. So you coach mature players one way. Sometimes you have to coach, a little bit more immature player a different way. But I believe in just telling the truth, right? The truth is there in wins and losses. People sometimes let the emotion and the happiness of winning or the, hey, I'm afraid we're going to get too overconfident, so I'm going to tell everybody how much they stink. And I'm probably guilty of that to some regard, but I just think that a good coach looks at the moment, looks at what the team needs. He tries to speak the truth to them in the right way, in a way that they'll hear and understand. And then there's also different ways that you win and different ways that you lose. And, I think Bill Parcells calls it the psychology of results, and, you can win and play well, but you can win and not play well. You can lose and play well, and you can lose and not play well. And each of those has its own dangers and pitfalls. And so I think you have to navigate those. So, I just would never, I don't think I would ever say like, hey, after a win, I do this. After a loss, I do this. I just try to tell guys the truth. The truth is always there. Sometimes we gloss over it when we win, but it was there in wins and in the losses. And if you can have a mature team that just tries to improve every week, you have a chance.
Matt, I wanted to ask you one more question about Robbie Anderson. How is his play as a more overall complete receiver kind of opened up things for the rest of your offense and what you guys can do?
Well, I mean, Robbie, like all of our receivers, but Robbie's running the complete route tree, and he's catching the ball underneath. A lot of times when guys are 170, 180 pounds, they don't really want to catch the ball across the middle and underneath and take hits, but Robbie does. And to me, that allows, you can't just take away one thing on him. I think as a total overall deal, I think, our three top receivers in terms of the amount of catches they have, Curtis, DJ, and Robbie, they're so fast and explosive. And if they can run the whole route tree and they can run crosses and outs and all those different things, it discourages some teams from playing man. So when they're having to play zone, that opens up the offense for other guys. If they're going to, pack the box to take away the run, it opens up play action opportunities. But if we're hitting play actions because Robbie and the receivers are playing well, that opens up the run. And so there's this yin and yang to the offense that comes from when guys play well. And so I'm proud of the way Robbie's playing. To me, I really respect receivers who catch the ball in traffic and catch the ball when they know they're about to get hit. And I think our receivers all do that.
All right, let's go to Nick Carboni and then Miles Simmons.
Matt, another day in this intensive period of the protocol. I know you were looking to add pads to everything today and flip-flopping things. How do you think that went? And you said yesterday the timeline is through Saturday that they'd have to wear the masks and face shields on the field.
Yeah, I thought the face shields were fine today. It didn't seem like a distraction, guys. Guys didn't seem distracted by it one bit. So I think our guys are handling everything well. I think we kept the same normal, Thursday time schedule that we always keep, and there was no issue. So I think our guys are being safe. I think our staff's being safe. I think we're handling things well. But I thought the shields for them, the guys, they had a day to wrap their head around. I thought they were fine.
Hey, Matt, what has Chicago done so well to score so much in the fourth quarter, and how much do you have to really emphasize finishing this week against them?
Well, I think what happens in the National Football League overall in general is, when a team gets down, teams can move the ball in this league when they go tempo and they go fast. They're too good on offenses to defend, and you have to defend more plays. So when teams start going fast, when they go to sort of a rally 2-minute, down a couple scores or down a score, defenses have a tendency to kind of back up and play a little bit more zone-ish and keep the ball in front of them, try to squeeze the clock out and, milk the clock. And people get a lot of yards and points. And then sometimes you're able to get the onside kick and go down and win, or sometimes you're able to make one more play and go win. And that's what Chicago has done. That being said, I think for us, we've had a 2-score lead in each of the last games, and the other team has sped up the tempo and they've gone down and scored against us. But we've been able to, get 2 onside kicks, and versus the Chargers, make one more play than that we needed. So it's hard. It's harrowing in the fourth quarter. When teams are down, they're playing free, they're playing loose. They don't have anything to lose, and the defense has a lot to lose. So sometimes they can play a little bit more, I don't want to say conservative, but they can try to play against the clock. And so I think Chicago has a great quarterback in Nick Foles. They have a guy, he's just a proven winner. And to me, and a guy that I know, not personally, but I know well just from being in Philly, when things start going down, he's cool, calm, and collected. He doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low. He just stays right in the middle. And I think all good things start with quarterbacks who do that. And then, you throw in you throw in Allen Robinson and Miller and those guys, and they have receivers who can make plays. So it's a long answer, but I think that's the one thing that you're seeing week in and week out in the NFL is teams are down, they get to the fourth quarter and they stage a comeback. And that's just part of this league.
All right, guys, we only have time for a few more, so let's go to Skylar Callahan and then Joe Person.
Hey, Matt. Chicago's defense in the red zone is really, really good, obviously, and you guys at times have had trouble kind of capping off some drives. What do you do to go into this game with the game plan of trying to make sure you guys convert more, getting the 6 instead of the 3?
Yeah, we're if you look at our offense, we're top. I'm going to say this, I might be wrong in some areas. We're top 10, top 5 in a lot of categories, but not in scoring. And it's because we're getting to the red zone and we're kicking field goals instead of touchdowns. It's way too much. And, a lot of that comes down to red zone third down. And, we call those 4-point plays, the difference between a touchdown and a field goal. And we haven't been efficient enough in that area. And a lot of them have been 3rd and 2 to 3, which is even more frustrating. So we have to be better. Tonight's our red zone night where we game plan red zone. So, we did third down today, ran through third down. So we'll know more specifically in terms of tonight and the red zone. But to me, it's about us. It's about us being able to run when we're able to run the football in the red zone, we score. When we're able to, win some one-on-ones, we score. And that's what we have to do. We have to find a way to run the football versus a very stout defense. and we have to execute on third down versus a great red zone defense and a great third down defense, which put those together, and those 4-point plays become all the more important.
Matt, what kind of matchup is Khalil Mack? And he kind of got off to sort of a slow start, but I know he had that big Thursday night game.
Yeah, I've been coaching against Khalil Mack since the University of Buffalo. He's just a dominant force. And he's one of those guys. Some guys like luck into think he plays really, really hard, plays really well. He's one of those guys. When I was in college, I'd have our defensive linemen watch him, see what a great stance look like. I mean, he's just so consistent and plays so hard and plays the run as well as the pass. Sometimes you have a guy who's a great pass rusher and you say, hey, let's run at him. Well, this isn't a viable option, to slow him down. He's not going to slow down. He plays the run as well as the pass. And so you throw in Hicks, you throw in Quinn. I mean, their front, they've invested in their front, and their front is really, 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 superb. But just a tremendous pass rusher, and leave him one-on-one. You leave somebody one-on-one with him. He's won his share over the years, and certainly this year.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, everybody.